small amount of plan bank for the model to learn quickly about creating a new plan. The third is the AI researcher. The ultimate thing everyone is working towards is I want to have an AI researcher that to which I can give any difficult question and it can come and answer, right? And that's something that will be able to do multimodality planning, simulation, research, and then come up with a validated answer with the recommendation. That's what everyone is working towards. Okay, and the fourth one is agents. Like we all want to have personalized agents of various kind. I would like to have a finance agent. I would like to have a day-to-day planning and execution agents. Like we are trying to go in that direction. You could think of having agents in your mobile that is all specialized to do certain things. Today, we are at the very early phase of agents. Like we are doing agents for specific enterprise use cases. Like, for example, customer service agent that is able to use LLM in the background and then answer the question. Yes. So like I said, agent today is in an early phase. So today we are actually narrowing the scope of the agent so that it doesn't make those kind of mistakes. So for example, let's say that I'm creating a customer service knowledge assistant agent for a call center, right? What that knowledge assistant agent does is it just researches all of your product collateral, like knowledge base, and answers the question so that it helps the customer or the live agent to learn the correct answer at the correct time, right? There are two broad ways in which we are avoiding the mistakes. One is we are having a human in the loop, meaning that the answer is given to a live agent and live agent is able to quickly vet before providing it to the customer. The second is if it is directly provided to the customer, then there's a lot of when the answer is generated, right? There is factual check is done. Like for example, there's a bunch of scores that you could do on the factual, like whether those terms are correct terms and whether the way that having another LLM to judge whether this is the right answer for the same question, and whether this another LLM to check whether these answers are rating, whether it is 90+% or 95+% factually correct related to your knowledge documents. So there's a lot of these techniques that we are doing it today, but over time we are with the improvements in the research and planning and introspection and reasoning, we expect the model to get better and better so that you don't have to do these things. In fact, the model will itself do it and automatically generate an answer and also provide a score saying that this is the probability with which I'm confident of this answer. Very similar to how we used to do it in our ML period. If you remember, like we used to do forecasting and we never said forecasts are 100% accurate. We used to give a confidence interval on that, right? Similar direction is what we are heading with this as well. Yeah. And the last one that is a very, very interesting topic is a self-improvement. Why it is if you remember AlphaGo problem that was I don't know whether there's a Go, there's a game, the board game. And it was a very tough game because it's a very strategic game. And a few years ago, DeepMind actually came up with this AlphaGo model, which is a deep learning based model that actually phenomenally improved in terms of how it is able to play far better than the best in the world. How did it do that? Is it actually played with itself? It wasn't looking at until that model, right? Everybody else was actually feeding all the historical play by play content and then training the model. But what this model, DeepMind, did was that they actually ended up making the model play with play with itself over a period of time to get better. All you have to do in that case is almost like you're reinforcing and saying that, hey, your goal is this is your goal. You have to win this. Winning means this, right? And then you keep playing with each other, with yourself, and then come up with what is the best strategy that actually helps you to win in any situation on the board, right? So that's the self-improvement technique, right? And this actually is so far in deep learning transformer architecture based models. This is one of the ways in which you could actually accelerate the model's learning, right? Today, we are still, majority of the model improvement is through the reinforcement learning with human feedback. We call it RLHF, like meaning that you generate an answer, and we as human, we give feedback, and then over the time, we give a lot of feedback, and then the model learns better. But at some point of time, if the model is able to play with each other, and one is generating the answer, the other one is able to give a feedback, you could accelerate quite fast to generate the model. So this is an active area of research for generative AI models. And when you have such a system, right, all you have to give is, this is my goal, and these are my constraints, and then go build a model that works within this constraint, and to work towards, give me decisions towards achieving that goal, right? Then it'll be able to come up with a model that will be able to do that. So that's the direction that we are getting. And if we are able to do that, I think we'll have far more powerful model, and we'll be able to even create models that are having narrow experts, like experts in very specific field. So we can say, like, you are going to be, even within the finance department, within the operational finance department, someone who's who's an expert in compliance, who's expert in, like account reconciliation or whatever, so we'll be able to do that. So that's the direction we are heading. So this, future is very bright in this area. I'm very optimistic about what are all the things that we'll be doing over the next 10 years in this. So I'm glad that you're all taking time to learn this technology at the early phase of it, and be one of those people who will help in transforming this technology and make it applicable for all of us. And that's it from me. Thank you for the opportunity.
So generative AI upcoming technology, a lot of institutions are there, but the growth, the development and implementation, why it is difficult? I think we are also facing a lot of difficulties. The board members are not trying to implement. They're stopping a lot of conflicts we get at the base. What is the main fundamental struggles we get face when implementing maybe AI ethics or maybe responsible AI or security and fundamental? Like, what are the major challenges we face while implementing and pushing into implementing generative AI technology to beat other competitors or not?
Yeah, so I think every new technology, if you look at it, it goes through a little bit of a hype phase where, you look at the technology and it's going to solve everything under the earth. And then you kind of have a realization phase as to what it can really do. Right? For example, if you look at generative AI, when it was released in ChatGPT was released, and everyone thought, like, hey, it's able to tell me everything. Like, it's able to give me a joke, and it's able to answer me a question based on Wikipedia, and it's able to generate a really nice essay for me for my school submission or whatever, right? But the difficulty is it's not a new difficulty. If you think about it, machine learning and AI also had the similar difficulty, right? When you're working on a forecasting model, or when you're working on a document understanding or a vision-based model, you had the same difficulty. Difficulty is not making it work once, making it work consistently every time with the same high quality, so that you can actually rely on it to be completely automated system, right? That is a problem with any model. And that's the problem with generative AI as well, right? Generative AI, if I ask it to generate a joke or generate an email, yeah, can it generate a good email? Yes, but can I guarantee that it will generate every time a good email? That is where a lot of measuring techniques need to be innovated. How do you measure? In terms of forecasting or in terms of object detection, the answers are very clear. right? You could actually have a confidence interval, and if the lower the confidence interval on your forecast, it is a poor thing. Whereas in a generative content, measuring the quality of the output is very hard, because how do you rate a quality of an email, right? So that's why there's a lot of new techniques have come in as to whether how do you really make sure that it is repeatable, reproducible, and you can actually quantify the factuality in the email and some of the hallucinations in the email. Those are the ones that is actually happening since the ChatGPT 1, and that may look like it is, it's a slow adoption, but it is actually a natural progression of any AI technique that comes, right? Because when you put it into like the way the gentleman was asking, right? I can't just put in an agent into a customer service workflow without understanding whether it will produce the consistent content every single time, right? If I'm expecting the human to do a lot of work in vetting that content, then I'm actually taking away the potential efficiency that I hope to gain from that implementation. So I have to actually help, even if I'm having a human in the loop, I have to tell the human, hey, these sentences are 70% rated in terms of quality, right? So that at least the human know which sections of the content that he or she needs to pay attention to edit further before sending that email or accepting that content. So that's the slowdown, I would say. Yeah. So I think the evaluation and vetting and making sure that it is consistent, measuring, those are the ones that is actually, those are the lot of innovations that is happening over the last couple of years. You did raise about a lot of other very important topics. Those are really highly important topic. I'm not going to comment on that from Oracle's perspective, right? But those are all really important topics. Again, the interesting thing about generative AI is that there's it is able to do, but when you raise topics of topics of very high value, like responsible and ethics and all of those, it needs to be looked at it from a various perspective. You need to know what data has gone into the model to really because gone into the model, how the model is actually producing, what sort of applicabilities it has, in which use cases it does well, and which use cases it doesn't do well. All of this you have to look into. So I think I'm happy to talk to you on one-on-one on a personal basis, but I'm not commenting on that from Oracle's perspective. Yeah. Okay.
One question, please. I just wanted to know if there is any possibility for a kind of a source like ChatGPT that you could have all three, the text, speech, and vision right now available as an open source. If not, how far are we there to be having something open source where it can help with both all three, speech, vision, and text?
Yeah, so I think Professor may be covering this. There is a lot of open source models that are available for image generation as well as video generation, and Llama models are also becoming multimodal now. Again, multimodality is a much...
They are separated.
Yeah.
They are separated, like you have to go to three different sources to create, say, one movie. You have to bring in images from one place and replicate the voice, tone, texture from another place, and bring in the kind of narrative, generative text from another place to put together to make a movie, for example. So how far are we from an open source available for somebody to make blend all three in one place? Like how yesterday Jothi ji was showing a website, which is of course created by Jothi ji and his team, where you can do multimodal features in one website.
I think my estimate would be like within a year to 18 months, we will have such a model, mainly because the pieces are there. I think it just needed to
integrate them. Yeah.
Model improvements are needed to get there. But I think you will still, again, come up with the same issue of how are you going to measure the quality of the output from those multimodal model, and how do you make that applicable for serious use cases, like for fun social media use cases where there's no liability. I think you'll have those models very quickly. But how do you really make that work? Like, for example, if you're going to generate a personalized marketing video for your product, based on the user that had logged in, you'd have to make sure that the content is really good and it's not offensive and it doesn't include anything that you don't want to include and all of those. So that sort of, that is where additional challenges will be. So the practical implementations enterprises might take some more time beyond that 18 months, but within the 18 months, you will have the model like that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the insights and user cases. Thank you.
Thanks for giving the time. So one person that I say about the blockchain, when generative AI is there, people are asking what happened to the traditional skills around this. The traditional skills are like people learn so the first one was the generative will take over what we can do data science. So this is something that I can see how the people are I agree on
Very, very good question. Thank you for raising this. I think, like, I think we should look at how do we define data science as a field. Okay, data science as a field is not taking the existing models and then coding them in Python or R and then applying it to a problem. That is only applying the existing models to the problem, right? It's like in terms of very simplistic way. Like if you take an open source data and if you take an open source model and applying that to the trying that model on the data, that is not data science. And data science is actually taking the large amount of data in any enterprise or any business and then figuring out how to derive insights from that data, right? And that has two parts. One is your math part. I still encourage my kids to still study the 4 math techniques: algebra, calculus, probability, and statistics. Those are the 4 that you need to study. Because if you want to be if you dig into deep learning or transformer architecture or any of these models, you will see that those 4 are the ones that are contributing to the underlying techniques as to how from iteration to iteration the weights are changing and how are you actually optimizing in a shortest period of time to come up with a model, how are you correcting for the errors and stuff like that. So I would say if you're trying to be a really a data scientist who can weather these model waves, then I would say go study these 4, okay, and become an expert, like somewhat of an expert in understanding how these work together. The second part is how do you take the research? If you have fundamental understanding of the 4 math techniques, right, then math fields, then you will be able to understand which model is right for what problems and how do you measure the accuracy of the output from any of these models, and how do you make sure that you can chain the models to get the outcome that you're looking for, right? So, for example, if I give you a bunch of sales data and also emails from all of the customers, you would have to figure out how do you prepare this data? What sort of models that I can apply to prepare this data and make the data usable and then feed it to the large language model and generate the answer. That is what the data scientist does. The data scientist is not just taking the existing model and applying it readily into a data set, right? There's a lot of data preparation, data munging, feature engineering, and, coming up with data enrichment, and then coming up with the data that is usable, applying that model. And then once the model application is only like probably 15, 20% of your task, you're doing all of this. And then when the answer comes out also, you're actually figuring out how to evaluate the answer, whether I need to do better than this answer. I should be shooting the model to do better. If I need to shoot the model to do better, then where are the weaknesses that I have to go and improve, right? Is it in the data problem? Is it in the annotation problem? Or is it in the particular model that I applied? Is that a wrong model? Should I apply a different set of model? Or maybe should I apply 4 or 5 models and then ensemble the answer, right? All of this is what data scientist does. So I wouldn't be worried about a single model that is coming out in the market that is actually going to take away a data scientist role per se. It's not actually. It's just one more tool that is given to your tool bag as a data scientist, right? So you're you used to have only machine learning and AI models, like for object detection, object identification, and document understanding, and speech model, and a bunch of machine learning models on the data. Now you have one more model that generates content for you, right? That's one more tool in your tool set. But how are you going to apply? How are you going to combine them is still going to be done by you. So I think so I wouldn't be disheartened. I would actually be more energized to get into this field.
Thank you, Vijay, for your time and sharing your knowledge here. And our next speaker is K.R. Srinivasan. He also known as KRS. He's a lifetime BATM member since 2017, and he is currently as a EC member, as a VP Cultural. So his major achievement, right? He completed his computer science engineering in VIT 1999 and did his master in analytics science at Georgia Tech. So he's currently working in Oracle. He's completed his Oracle Gen AI certification, and we want to welcome KRS. No, I'll use. Just leave it, just in case. Yeah, I'll get it. Yeah.
Thank you, Ramesh, for the nice intro. Okay, let it come. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. If you go to the TV comedy shows and all, right? They will tell a joke and nobody will clap they'll put the clap in the background. Like that, our President Madam is so encouraging. Everybody talks, she says, once more clap, once more clap. At least she's encouraging the speakers. Thank you for this opportunity. Today I'm going to talk about, you guys have heard a lot of advanced stuff from Ms. Jothi and Vijay, who's a previous speaker. Today I'm going to talk a little bit of basics, how LLM came and AI and all the stuff. So before we go into that, I'm going to, Vijay also mentioned that you have to be very sharp in your math and in calculus and all this stuff. So I'm going to ask an important math question here. See how many of you can answer. Let me log into my system. Yeah, I'll ask the question before we go to the answer. So, which is greater, 0.1 or 0.9? Important math question. Who can answer this? Okay, good. Do you think you are right? Do you want to think again? Let me log in. Just. Lock it. The caps lock is on. Oh. See, that
So
is the
you have to crack the password.
stage fear. Once you get into the stage, you'll forget everything.
The
Yeah.
answer is it depends on how you use point 1 and point 9 and where you use it.
Yeah. Hey, Zoom got disconnected. So just a second. I don't know what is happening here. Zoom link. So you guys have to wait for your answer yet. No. Zoom got disconnected. கார்க்குள்ள தான் கனெக்ட் ஆயிருக்கேன். Zoom link. இல்ல இது ஓபன் ஆக மாட்டேங்குது. இல்ல வேணாம். இதெல்லாம்
No, we
கனெக்ட்.
are able to hear you and we could see you also.
You can see 1 second. Wait a second. Yeah, that is okay. அதுல ஒண்ணும் இல்லை வாட்ஸ்அப்ல. பவர் பாயிண்ட் வராம போயிருப்பது. Okay, can we start? Sorry for the technical issues. So we are in the Bay Area and we are facing these kind of technical issues. Okay, let's get started. So whoever said,
It depends on where and how you use them. That is how it is going to impact. Thank you.
so obviously point 9 is the right answer, but ChatGPT thinks it different. You guys can see on the screen. Okay. Yeah, Sriniram. So you guys can see, right? Oh, again. Okay, see, the screen is again the problem, but I will go ahead because it's taking a lot of time. So how is this? Is it okay? Are you guys visible for this? Okay. Okay, I think we are back to normal. So basic math question, you guys had a different answer actually. I was a little bit surprised. So point 9 is the right answer, right? அதுல பாருங்க எது கரெக்டா வருது ஸ்கிரீன். ChatGPT thinks it is a different answer. Okay, so somebody asks a question to the ChatGPT, which is greater, 9.9 or 9.11, and you guys can see the ChatGPT is answered 9.11 is the bigger number. So the reason I put this one is we have to train this guy and he is going to take our job. So it's like we have to feed our own guy who is going to steal our job. So okay, jokes apart, the reason I put this is like ChatGPT is still a baby, or not only ChatGPT, any AI model is still a baby. We have to teach these models how it has to answer us. So first, don't be afraid about that he's going to take our job. Okay. So when the cash counting machine came, everybody thought that cashier job is gone. No, you have some other job for sure. Okay, let's get started. So welcome to the day 2 session. As I said, I am going to go on the basics of the large language model. And just want to give a small intro on myself. Ramesh gave me a nice intro, but I just want to show, if you guys want to connect with me, this is my LinkedIn profile. You can connect with me and I will try to help as much as possible. And I am a technical guy. I'm not a business guy like Vijay. If you have higher level questions, you can ask her. And if you have lower level questions on basics, you can reach out to me. I just want to show at the age last year, I completed master's in Georgia Tech. And when I was studying very hard last year, somebody, I think you guys can understand Tamil, somebody was like, Sangudra, vaysa Sangita, edukada ipo ukandu padichikittu irukka appadina. So it is never too late. The reason I put this screen is that it is never too late to catch up on a new skill. Don't get on that positive mindset. Try to read about it. It is not a rocket science. It is not a rocket science. I'm telling you, it is much easier for you guys to learn. So focus, and then I'm sure there is a lot of basis set in this workshop. There's a lot of takeaway. Take it, and then you can read on it. You guys are in the right place. There's a lot of help available as well. So reach out for us. If you have any questions, we will figure out together. And I also completed, earned Gen AI certification from Oracle just last month, 20 days back. So a lot of things are fresh in my memory technically. So if you have any questions technically, you can always reach out to me. Let's get straight into our agenda. So first thing is, I just want to, as I mentioned, I am going to go at a lower level on how the LLM works and how to train the model and all those stuff. I'm sure it will set a good context before Jothi comes in and give you your labs. I'm sure you will be able to connect what I told, and then you will have a lot of takeaways. So first, I want to talk about generative AI itself. It's very basic, but it is good to get the primer. AI is not something new. It is there for a long, long time. You've been using it in your day-to-day life, everyday life. For example, YouTube recommendation is AI. Your Amazon recommendations are AI. Lot of credit card bank approvals are going through AI. It's been there for a long time. So so now what they are calling it as traditional AI. So the AI was there for a long time, but it is a traditional AI. What happened in after 2017 was this generative AI got picked up. There was a paper submitted by a research paper submitted by some Google employees. I don't know their exact names. I'll show you them. Attention is all you need. That's the paper. If you get a chance, note down and then read about it. Attention is all you need is the paper. In that, they proposed a new architecture in which unless the traditional AI, where it needs certain kind of data, though it is unstructured, it is unsupervised learning, there are some kind of structuring still it is expected for ML to process. So this paper, Attention is All You Need, is the one which revolutionized the generative AI itself. So what it does is they proposed a new architecture called transformer architecture, which basically understands the natural language we speak and then reproduce it. So that is the core that is the core of what generative AI is. So that is why you guys would have known this chat GPT. In the GPT, the G is generative. So it is generating a new content, original content based on the natural language we speak. So Gen AI is child of, you can say, child of a traditional AI, and it is built on top of large language model. So we are talking a lot about large language models. We've been talking a lot about large language models. What is a large language model? It is basically in a normal program we write, like we give parameters to the program, like you can pass 10 parameters, 20 parameters for any program. But large language model is called large because you can even pass million parameters. Some people are even saying you can even pass billions of parameters to this. So that is why it is called large language model. So Gen AI is built on top of the large language model. So important terminology here. And then Chat GPT is that little guy. is not model, is a product of OpenAI built using large language model. So so language model itself has a lot of data, but the reason I am putting this chat GPT here is chat GPT is just a product. It is not model in itself. It is like probably it is an interface. So whatever you input, you have to be really careful about inputting in the chat GPT. You can ask a lot of questions. No data is stored in the model itself, in the large language model, but your data is stored by this product called ChatGPT. So whenever you use it in your company or somewhere, don't give sensitive information and don't ask sensitive question as well. Where to hide my drinks in my car? Where to hide? And I'll ask. It will know and it will tell your wife. Okay, so better don't put sensitive information because it stores the information. So as I told you, GPT in the GPT. So G is generative and P is transformer. The transformer architecture is the one which is which has revolutionized the Gen AI itself. So important terminology here, transformer architecture. And I will talk about transformer architecture as well. So this is that paper. Hopefully, I will be able to see this, but I will read it for you. It is called Attention is All You Need. If you get a chance, if anyone wants to know internals of how the transformer architecture is working, it is not a very big paper, but you guys can read about it. And in that, they have mentioned about the transformer architecture, how it is taking natural language and converting it into brings out the answer. So take a look at this one, and there's a link as well. We will post it after the meeting. So I just want to touch upon this architecture because when you talk about large language models, can I take the questions in the end? Yeah, because we are already running late. I'll just note down. Always note down your questions, and then I can definitely take it at the end. So I will talk about the transformer architecture model. So transformer architecture model is built on these neural networks. So neural network is again, it is a computer concept where it stores data like in the numbers. Yesterday, Jothi talked about the vector database. So you guys can read about it, how vector database stores information, all those stuff. So what neural network does is all the information are stored as a numbers and they are interconnected. They are interconnected like a cluster. So each number has a set of word or some words and they are connected to each other. They are even our brain is like this. So if you just think about Bay Area, then you'll think about Sunnyvale, and then you'll think about one restaurant. These are all interconnected with some numbers. So through the neurons. Same thing, it is connected with a number. Some numbers is connecting each other. So that is the neural networks. It is a very, very deep subject. You can read about it along with the math which has suggested. You still have a lot of jobs in this one. It is not super complex. It is like your brain. So this is how the information is stored in the vector database as a neuron network architecture. So what it does is transform architecture. It takes a number as the input and matches and then gives number as the output as well. This number in and number out you see is called vectors. So another terminology to note down, these are called vectors. This vector, so the text you are giving as an input to, let us say, ChatGPT, is a text which will be converted into this vectors. The vectors are passed to the neural networks, and the neural networks connects to these numbers and then gets the relevant information and gives another vector as the output. So this is the simple transformer architecture, and it takes text, image, audio, video, any kind of data as the input and converts into the numbers and then sends it to the neural network. Neural network is basically your heart of the transformer architecture, and then sends the output, number output, and then again you are getting some output. This is how the whole large language model works. Your text input converted as a number, and then it is passed into neural networks, and then again convert as a vector number, and the vector number is passed output as a text, and all those stuff. And couple more terminology I'm going to give you. For example, if I'm giving an input, artificial intelligence is transforming dash, your mind will process this information and try to get a lot of answers for this. It can give any lot of what will be there, fill in the blanks there. It will give a lot of numbers. So same thing happens here as well in the transformer architecture. It is converted into vector number using something called encoders. Another terminology you guys have to note down or remember this one. There is a component called encoder in the transformer architecture, which converts the text into the numbers. So encoder converts text into vector, and the vector number is passed to the neural network, and the text is converted as and the number which is coming out of the neural networks is converted into text using something called decoders. Very simple, encode, decode. Okay, so then that will give future as the answer. So artificial intelligence is transforming the future. How it is fetching the future? It is simple statistics. It might look like a magic, but it is a simple statistics. So what large language model, as I mentioned you, it is processing huge number of data. I mean, it has lot of data inside. So it will go and search everything. This data was created by us. That is why it is called large language model. It is trained on the data we already have. So the model has processed petabytes of data and have those information. So it will match for each letter in this one. It has a matching vector number, and then for that matching vector, it will go and fetch the information, and it will fetch top words. Basically, it is basic statistics. It will fetch a lot of words associated with these things, and it fetches whichever is the top word. So if you see here, it has predicted basically the output will come future, world, industry, blah blah blah. So everything is matching. You can say anything, right? So it is fetching the top one. So that is what is important here. So it will fetch the top number and give it as an output. So this is data. Basically, it is not generating anything new. I mean, it is generating new content in the overlook, but the data was fed by us. So whatever there in the internet, they fed and they trained it for like hours and hours, not hours, years of training has gone through it from ChatGPT 1 or from OpenAI 1 version to 4. Years of training has gone in here, and then this is the output you are seeing at the version 4. So that is why it will keep on learning. That is why I think 0.11 is greater than 0.9. 0.9 is obviously greater than. What it does is it basically just takes each text and then compares it. It take 0.11 as 11 and then compares 9. It says that, but we will have to teach. So now it has learned and it will reproduce the right answer. So that is how the predictions are done. Okay, and so there is some other. So what happens is this will keep on going. So if you want to write a essay or something, this will keep on going. There is something called your termination character. Until your termination character is attained, it will keep on generating the next contents. That is how your questions are processed and generated text. So it will keep on going in the loop, and then it will keep on producing the output until the termination character is done. How are the termination characters are created? That there is a lot of work going underneath. I will talk about it a little bit, but it's a big subject itself, where to terminate and how to terminate and all those stuff. So before this, here I want to talk about one more thing as well. So it is not always taking it won't always take the first or the top aggregated answer. There are a lot of training methods and lot of parameters we can set around what output we want. For example, if you are a creator, if you are a writer, you want to write a story, you don't want the same word again and again, right? I will tell with an example of Meta AI. I think it is a Meta AI. So there is there is a setting called temperature. There are a lot of settings on what kind of output you want. So lot of us have used only ChatGPT, but there are a lot of model out there. I will show you them. So if we want to use them, you have to set up a lot of parameters. One of the parameters temperature. So that temperature is set by default as 0. So that means it will always get you the top answer. But there are the temperature setting you can change, which will give you creative answer. It can even get you the 5th or sixth one. So if you adjust those temperature, if you can play around, these are the things you guys have to learn and prepare yourself for the next one. There are a lot of parameters. I told about temperature. That is one of the important terminology. If you tell all these things, the people will think, oh, this guy knows a lot. And there is another thing called top A and top P. So this is like we can set a temperature to pick up from top 5. This is called top K. So pick my words from top K output. So there is a lot of technical things and parameters you can set and get the output from the model itself. And that is why training the model is important. So right now, whatever the model we are using are trained with 2 different methods. One is called unsupervised generative pre-training. So that is what I talked about a little bit earlier as well. So you fed lots and lots of documents, whatever is in the internet, to these models, and they get trained repeatedly. They will go on a cycle like months or years also sometimes, and that is where it is automatically getting trained. That is unsupervised. Nobody is going to supervise it. It is automatically going to run the prepare the model. And the second one is called reinforced learning with human feedback. Even today, the models are not always trained by the machines. Models are trained by the humans. There is real people sitting and training the model. The reason is the one reason is ethical reason. So, for example, if you want to rob a bank, you can go and check. Ask ChatGPT, hey, tell me how to rob the bank. It can give you the output. But that is why this human intervention, reinforced learning with human intervention is required. That is why your model or chat GPT will not answer those kind of crooked questions. If you want to rob a bank or a bad questions, there are ways to go around it and ask. That is called prompt engineering. That is a separate subject. But right now, the base models are trained using unsupervised generative pre-training and then reinforced learning using human intervention. And there is a second level of training. This is base model training. So base model is very huge. It has everything. Someone asked about when we will get the open source and all. The problem with a large language model is they are so huge. It is very difficult to fit into your computer. There are models which you can run in your local machines. It will suck your computer's power out. But there are models which you can run on the local. But this is where cloud computing is very, very important, where they host the model itself on their cloud platform. Microsoft, Google, Oracle has their own very, very nice cloud generative services you can subscribe to, where you can use it on the hourly basis or whatever. It's like on demand. You can use that. So it is best to use that one and the train those models. Okay, so cloud computing will come into picture here, and again there is a lot of job out there. One thing I wanted to mention is that training the model is the next phase, because right now whatever we are using the ChatGPT model is like general consumer model. You cannot simply take ChatGPT and use it in any enterprise. So you have to train those models on your enterprise data. For example, Oracle or some other company, they want to answer their they want to have a chatbot or some Gen AI to give answers. So they cannot feed the data into ChatGPT, right? So that is called a method called fine tuning. So you have to take a model and use it in-house, feed your data. So basically, on top of the basic model training, which the number 1 and 2, they use various methods of fine tuning, and they have their database information that, so it can fetch those information and give it to the customer. So there is no, see, those kind of jobs maybe in little bit danger, I would say, where somebody is checking what is the order status and all those things. But there is definitely another venue opening. So don't be scared. Approach it positively. So as we were talking about, coming back here, GPT, I said G is generative, and then T is transformer, and P is pre-trained. All the models we use are pre-trained. So another terminology, you should, somebody is asking what is GPT, you can say generative pre-trained transformers. So yeah, just want to show you that. So it's a simple thing. As you guys know, there is a lot of models types available right now: text to text, text to image. Somebody was asking the question. It is coming soon. Everything in one place is actually, I think, already there, but it is as a paid subscription. It is there. So, but it is not 100% perfect yet. So the work is going on, as Vijay told. It's going to come soon. So these are the model types you can use. So multi-model is the one which is the answer for the question, but it is still in process. There's as I told you guys, it needs a lot of training. That training is going to going on, and you will see that a lot of things. And one more thing I want to show you is the Chat GPT we use is just a free version, and there is a paid version as well. But if you want to do programming using basically you want to pre-train the model on your data, then you need to get something called API keys. There are API keys available in the OpenAI itself. It is, I think, I don't know if it's $20 or $40 per month. You can get that. There is a beautiful guide, step-by-step guide, where you can build your own model using the API keys. So basically, because it is very expensive, the reason it is not available as an open source is it is processing petabytes of data. Like, models have a lot of data. I mean, they cannot give it for free and then everything goes hell breaks, right? So that is why it is a paid model, I think. And then if you want to do programming, you want to and train the models on your data, on your enterprise data, then they get the API key, and then you can do fine tuning on top of the pre-train already available. So you can go and check on the portal is there, and get your API keys and train the models as you want. And there is a complete guide available online. And then I think this is my last slide. These are the models right now available. The GPT model, which is from OpenAI, which is paid one, it is very good as far as I know. And there are free models available as well. You guys can see Meta AI Llama 3 is free. And then there is one more from Google. I don't know how good it is, but Llama 3 is quite famous. A lot of companies use it, and Oracle Generative AI service use that model. There are a lot of models as well, like Coursera model and all those stuff. But these are the top models right now being used in the industry. So all these models, you can get the API key. If you know a little bit of Python, you can play around and generate a lot of things. And it is another creative thing coming out, actually. You don't have to always use the base model. You can train the model on top of whatever you want. If your industry needs or your enterprise needs, you can use the API keys and train with your data and keep it within your enterprise. So this is what I wanted to show. And I just want to talk about the mindset. I think we were talking about all along during this 2-day workshop, but a lot of people think, no, it won't affect my job. The AI is still like a child. It doesn't even know 0.1 versus 0.9. But that is not a good mentality. It is going to change. So it is going to change how the way we work and what we work and all those stuff. So even some people are panicking. Oh my God, tomorrow my job will go. Again, 0.11 versus 0.9. it need training, right? So don't be panic. Take a middle ground, take a positive mindset, and then read on it. It is very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. And the best thing is we are in the Bay Area. There is a lot of people work on this one or around. Ask. If you ask, there is always a help. And I'm just happy to say that I am here in the EC itself. Even if I'm not in the EC, I'm happy to help you guys. So yeah, that is all I had. I wanted to feed you guys with some basic stuff. I'm done and I'm ready to take any questions if you have. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
So I have two questions.
Yes, sir.
I have two questions. One is the LLM.
Yeah.
So what are the languages behind the scenario? Is it Java, C++, Python? I see the curl. So what are the underlying languages written?
There is a lot of languages underneath. So as I read in my masters, they use a lot of statistical language, um, uh, mainly Python, because it has a lot of statistical package inbuilt, and then there is R as well, and obviously Java. So there is it is a big package. So Python is there, R is there for statistics, and then Java. So these are the top languages they use underneath the LLM. Yeah.
So it's the most popular, can I say Python?
Yeah.
Okay. The second question was, you talked about encoder.
Yeah.
So encoder, decoder, what is the algorithm behind?
Oh, I'm not that deep yet, but it is basically some the encoder basically uses the vector database. And Jothi yesterday mentioned about this.
Okay.
So the information are stored in the vector database. So that is how it is processed. But I don't know the full underneath structure. Probably I will learn. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, இப்போ நம்ம பார்த்தோம் இல்லையா, இப்போ I listed a lot of models, right? Chat GPT is just a product. GPT itself is not having anything. It has the information is there in the open AI model. நம்ம அந்த லிஸ்ட்ல பார்த்தோம்ல, ஒரு லிஸ்ட் காமிச்சு அந்த டேபிள்ல. Yeah, that is what is. So, Jothi.
Talk about, it's called OpenAI Assistant API. Yeah, so I will cover this and I'll show you live so that you can get to see ChatGPT. Just to correct, it is not a model, it is a product or it's an application. Just the name by ChatGPT. Behind the scene, it uses a GPT model that uses a transform architecture, which is an initial innovation from Google. Google never thought this is going to go this far, correct? So now Google himself, they're worried about right now the way that ChatGPT is growing, correct? Everybody knows across the world, right? It's growing. So I will show you when I start teaching about OpenAI Assistant APIs. I will take you to the OpenAI console and show you how the actual configuration that takes place, what model to pick, and how do you tell the model to use knowledge base as a data source to get information, and how the model has been trained and everything. I will cover that one. So when you see live, you will understand, correct? So that's why I said abstract concept, it's difficult to digest. And I will bring this as a live session, you can get to know this.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay, I just want to give one more thing. Like, if any one of you are interested in doing a certification, reach out to me, because I finished recently. I can help you with the Oracle Gen AI certification, but generally the basics are same. So if you want to do any certification, just reach out to me. Yeah, thank you so much for all of your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, KRS. So So whenever we study even foreign author books, we need a local author to simplify stuff. So thank you, KRS, for simplifying and giving the simplified solution for enabling everybody. So they are awake now. Okay. And so he mentioned that the encoder to decoder, and there is a computation, right? So do you know why NVIDIA and there are semiconductor companies are growing so fast? Because there is a data processing. There are tons of data which needs to be processed. So why we are moving to CPU to GPU, GPU to TPU? Because there are large amount of data. So basically, CPU, you can image, basically I'm from the semiconductor background, so that's why I can simplify that stuff as well. So CPU, you can imagine as a car. Car has a trunk, and that's the small amount of data stuff you can transfer, correct? And there is a GPU, that is a truck. And there is a TPU, there's a large truck. So when there is a lot of data to move for the processing, we need a larger processor. That's why basically whoever envisioned that there is a lot of data going to be processed, that's how they invested. And so who are in the current market and whoever didn't think that they envisioned that, so they are in the lower market. So so I'm trying to simplify, and there is between the encoder and decoder, there is a processing, right? We are converting the text into the number, and